The restaurant was nearly empty, save for one table set for two, but one seat remained unoccupied. Her date was late. The clock ticked on, his silence louder than the ticking seconds. The wine glass was half full, her heart half empty. No call, no text, just nothing. Then, out of nowhere, he walked in, a millionaire businessman, holding his daughter, and said, "She's sorry she's late." What happens next changes everything, and it all started with a date that never was. But before we dive into what happened next, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on this wild ride. And comment below, where are you watching from? I want to know. Let's see where this story takes us. The night had started like any other. Olivia sat, nervously glancing at the clock. 7:15. He was late. She checked her phone. No messages, no calls, just silence. Her mind raced with scenarios. Had he forgotten? Did something happen? And as each second ticked by, that sinking feeling grew deeper inside her. She had dressed up for this, put herself out there once again. But there she was, waiting alone. The camera lingers on Olivia's face, showing her frustration and disappointment. She swirls the wine in her glass and takes a sip, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of him. She had been stood up before, but never like this. This wasn't just about a missed date. It was about the promise of something more, the hope that maybe, just maybe, this one would be different. But now it felt like another reminder that she wasn't enough. She leans back in her chair, sighing as she taps her phone again, half expecting a message. Nothing. The waiter glances at her sympathetically as he passes by, but says nothing. She had promised herself. This time would be the last. No more hoping for someone who couldn't show up. No more waiting for things that didn't matter. She would leave, walk away. But just as she stood, the door opened, and in walked a man. Not her date. No, this one. He had a presence about him. Tall, confident. His eyes scanned the room before they landed on her, as though he knew exactly where to look. The sound of the doorbell rings faintly as Jackson enters, a little girl in tow. His suit sharp and immaculate, he walks toward Olivia's table with purpose. The small girl, holding his hand, looks up at Olivia shyly, offering a quiet, "Hi." She hadn't expected this. A man, so out of place yet so effortlessly in control. He wasn't just any man. He was a millionaire. One look at him and she could tell. It wasn't his expensive suit or the sleek watch on his wrist. It was the way he moved. Everything about him spoke of power, of wealth, and yet there he was, standing in front of her, offering a simple apology. The man speaks to Olivia, his voice warm, but there's something distant about it, almost as though he's speaking from behind a wall of his own. "She's sorry she's late," he said, his voice laced with a calm that didn't quite match the situation. Olivia froze. This wasn't the date she had been expecting, nor was this the man she had imagined in her mind. Her heart skipped a beat. Confusion clouded her thoughts. Why was he here? Why was he apologizing for someone who wasn't even in the room? Olivia blinks, unsure whether to speak or just keep staring. The man notices her confusion, offering a gentle smile as he takes the empty seat across from her, his daughter sitting beside him, quietly watching the scene unfold. The moment lingered. Tension hung in the air like smoke, unspoken, thick, and impenetrable. There was no easy way to answer the unasked question. Who was this man, and why had he come to sit at her table, with a child no less? Olivia's gaze flickers between the man and his daughter, her mind racing to piece together this strange puzzle. Olivia had no idea that this empty table, this moment of waiting, was about to be the beginning of something entirely different, something that would leave her questioning everything she thought she knew about love, power, and family. There was something about him, something that pulled at Olivia's attention in a way she couldn't explain. His presence was commanding, yet effortless. The way he carried himself, the way his eyes met hers with quiet confidence, made her feel as though she were caught in a storm she wasn't ready for. Jackson glances at Olivia, his gaze holding for a moment longer than it should. He smiles, though it's not a friendly smile, more of a polite one, as if he's been trained to perform it effortlessly. He takes a breath, as if choosing his words carefully. I apologize for the confusion. It's not often I'm in situations like this. Olivia looks down at her wine glass, unsure how to respond. She hadn't expected this. Her date, the one who had stood her up, now seemed irrelevant. Her attention was fixed on this stranger sitting across from her. The millionaire, the man with the child. Why had he come here, and why did it feel like her entire night had just shifted in the most unsettling way? Olivia nodded stiffly, unsure if she should respond with the same polite formality or just ask what had brought him to her table. Before she could say anything, his daughter spoke up, her voice quiet but clear. "Mommy said you're nice." Olivia's heart skipped a beat. Her mind scrambled for answers, but nothing made sense. Mommy? Was this little girl referring to Jackson's ex-wife? Her mind raced with questions she wasn't sure she should ask aloud. Olivia was caught off guard by the child's innocent remark. Was this a casual mistake, or was there something more to their story? Jackson's gaze softened for a moment, looking at his daughter with a tenderness that made Olivia wonder just how many layers were hidden beneath his cool exterior. Jackson leans forward slightly, his voice lowering as if sharing a quiet confession. "She's been through a lot. Her mother and we're complicated, to say the least." Olivia tries to read his face, but it's hard to decipher. The polished persona of the millionaire is at odds with the subtle vulnerability that flickers in his eyes. His words linger in the air, unspoken, heavy with the weight of his past. His words, though few, carried more meaning than Olivia could understand in this moment. Who was this man? What did he really want from her? And why had he brought his daughter into it? The waitress approaches, her heels clicking softly as she takes a step toward the table. Olivia and Jackson exchange a brief glance before Jackson turns his attention to her. "We'll need another chair for my daughter, and could you make sure to bring the dessert menu, please? I think we'll be here a while." As the waitress leaves to fulfill the request, Olivia is left alone with her swirling thoughts. She looks down at her phone again. No messages from the man she'd been waiting for, not even an apology. But now she's faced with a different situation, one she never expected. Olivia's date, her expectation of a romantic evening, had vanished in the wake of this unexpected encounter. But now, her mind was racing. Who was Jackson Montgomery, and why did his presence, his words, make her feel like she was standing on the edge of something she couldn't control? Jackson leans back in his chair, his eyes briefly scanning the room as if something, or someone, had caught his attention. Olivia follows his gaze, but there's nothing unusual, just the usual patrons lost in their own conversations. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling that Jackson wasn't just a businessman, he was a man with secrets, and secrets, it seemed, had a way of surfacing when least expected. Jackson's life, Olivia was beginning to understand, wasn't just about business meetings and boardrooms. It was about navigating the complex world of family, loyalty, and expectations. And somewhere in all of that, Olivia had unknowingly become a part of it. Lily reaches for a piece of bread, her innocent gesture breaking the tension in the air. She smiles at Olivia, her small face lighting up with curiosity. "Are you going to be my friend?" Olivia can't help but smile. The child's innocence somehow makes this situation feel less heavy, less complicated. And for a brief moment, Olivia wondered if, in the midst of all the chaos, there was room for something simple, a friendship, a connection, something real. Olivia tried to focus on the conversation, but her thoughts were a whirlwind. Everything she had been preparing for, everything she had expected from tonight, had vanished in the blink of an eye. Instead of a simple dinner with a man she'd met through an app, she found herself sitting with a stranger, a millionaire businessman, and his young daughter. Was this a setup? A joke? Her heart beat faster as she tried to make sense of the situation. Jackson is talking to her, but Olivia isn't fully listening. His words are starting to sound distant as she picks up on the small details that seem off. His hands, though steady, carry the weight of untold stories. The sharpness of his suit doesn't match the slight flicker of exhaustion in his eyes. His daughter, Lily, watches them with a quiet curiosity that unsettles Olivia. "You know, Lily's mother and I are, well, we're in a transitional phase, to put it lightly. But that doesn't stop me from being here, trying to balance everything, work and family." Olivia catches a glimpse of Jackson's phone as it vibrates. He hesitates for just a second before swiping it off the table, silencing it quickly, but not without Olivia noticing. There's something in the way he reacts, something urgent and guarded. Olivia couldn't ignore the oddity of it all. There was more to Jackson than he was letting on. The way he shifted when his phone buzzed, the way he brushed off his daughter's comments about her mother. It all felt too rehearsed, too controlled. And yet, there was a sense of vulnerability beneath it all. Olivia wasn't sure whether it was something she should dig deeper into or something she should leave alone. Lily nudges Olivia's arm, her big eyes wide with innocent curiosity. "Are you sad?" The question stuns Olivia. How could this little girl, who barely knows her, sense that Olivia's heart is torn between the mystery of this strange date and the weight of her own disappointments? Olivia smiled, though her heart felt heavier than before. "No, sweetie," she said, her voice soft. "I'm just thinking." She wasn't sure what she was thinking anymore. Maybe it was the wine, maybe it was the unexpected company, but something about this moment, sitting across from a millionaire with a child, on a date that wasn't really a date, made her feel more alive than she had in months. But why? Why was she so drawn to this situation? To Jackson? Jackson watches the exchange between Olivia and his daughter. There's a flicker of something in his expression, relief maybe, or could it be admiration? It's gone as quickly as it appears, but Olivia catches it nonetheless. She has a way of cutting through all the noise, doesn't she? Olivia laughs softly, the tension in her shoulders easing just slightly, but then Jackson's phone buzzes again, this time more urgently. He looks at the screen, and for the first time since they met, there's a crack in his polished exterior. The mask slips, if only for a moment. Olivia noticed it then, a look of anxiety crossing Jackson's face. Something was happening, something bigger than this dinner, than this strange situation they found themselves in. She wasn't sure if it was about her, about his business, or something else entirely. But in that fleeting moment, Olivia understood something she hadn't before. Jackson wasn't just a man with money and power. He was someone who was desperately trying to keep it all together. Jackson presses his lips together, clearly fighting the urge to respond to whatever news he's receiving. He excuses himself for a moment, getting up from the table and walking to a quiet corner of the restaurant. Olivia watches him, curiosity gnawing at her. Olivia sat there, alone with Lily, a quiet tension settling between them. Was this all a coincidence? Was she just an innocent bystander in a world of business deals and broken families? Or was there something deeper at play here? Something she wasn't yet ready to understand? Lily, sensing the shift in the mood, tilts her head slightly. "Daddy's sad too, huh?" Olivia is taken aback by the question. Was it possible that Lily, despite her young age, had already seen the cracks in the seemingly perfect world her father built? It's too much to process in the moment, but Olivia can't ignore the uneasy feeling creeping up her spine. And just like that, the entire night felt different. Jackson wasn't just a man in a suit, a millionaire businessman with a beautiful daughter. He was someone carrying the weight of responsibilities, of broken relationships, of secrets that had yet to come to light. And Olivia couldn't help but feel like she was standing at the edge of something big, something that could change everything. As Jackson returns to the table, the change in his demeanor is noticeable. He's no longer the confident, composed figure from earlier. There's a vulnerability now, a weariness that makes Olivia wonder how much of this night, this strange meeting, had been planned. and how much had been entirely unintentional. "I'm sorry, there's something I need to take care of, but I'll make it up to you. I promise." He looks at her, his eyes softening for just a moment. Olivia can feel the weight of his gaze, heavy with unspoken words. And for the first time that night, she wonders if maybe, just maybe, this strange encounter was the beginning of something more complicated than she ever could have imagined. The restaurant's low hum continues, but Olivia's mind is no longer in the present moment. She watches Jackson as he speaks briefly into his phone, his expression becoming even more distant. His calm demeanor hides the urgency of whatever is happening on the other end, and when he finally hangs up, he looks almost defeated. The soft clinking of silverware in the background is a sharp contrast to the heavy silence between them. As Jackson returned to the table, his movements were more deliberate. He was still composed, but something in the air had shifted. Olivia could feel it. His sense of control was slipping, and with it, her certainty about him. For the first time, he didn't seem like a man who had it all figured out. He seemed human. And that small crack in his facade made her want to understand him more than ever before. Lily, sensing the growing tension, picks up her bread again and takes a small bite, her eyes darting between the adults. Olivia glances at the child, and, for a brief moment, the chaos of the night seems to fade away. It's just her and this little girl, who clearly has a connection with her father, a connection that might hold the key to understanding the man sitting across from her. Is it always like this? The question slips out before Olivia can stop herself. She's surprised by the honesty behind it. Jackson looks at her, his gaze softening as if he's genuinely weighing whether to let her in. After a long pause, he exhales deeply, looking down at the table as though he's choosing his next words carefully. "No, it's not always like this. I've spent so much time trying to fix things, work, family. But it's never enough. And I guess sometimes you end up in places you didn't expect, places you didn't plan for." There's something raw in his voice that catches Olivia off guard. The man she saw earlier, the one who exuded power, control, and self-assurance, was now starting to show his vulnerability, and Olivia wasn't sure how to handle it. Her instincts told her to pull away, to protect herself from getting tangled in whatever was unraveling in Jackson's life. But the truth was, she couldn't look away. Jackson's honesty caught Olivia off guard. She wasn't used to seeing someone like him, someone with so much power, expose their cracks so openly. But in that moment, she realized, Jackson wasn't just a businessman. He was a man fighting to keep everything together while his world fell apart. And whether she liked it or not, she was beginning to get pulled into that world, not by choice, but by something deeper, something she couldn't quite name yet. Lily, ever the innocent observer, looks at Olivia with those big, curious eyes, and this time there's a hint of understanding there. She doesn't say a word, but nudges her father's hand gently. "Mommy says Daddy needs help." The words hit Olivia like a punch. She wasn't sure what exactly they meant, but the gravity of them hangs in the air. Jackson's expression tightens, but only for a second, before he forces a smile for his daughter. "Maybe she's right, but it's not always that simple, sweetie." The air grows heavier. Olivia wants to say something to break the silence, but instead, she reaches for her glass of wine, taking a slow sip, her mind racing. Jackson's words leave more questions than answers. She can't help but wonder what kind of help he really needs, and what role, if any, she was going to play in it. She had already sensed it, the pull toward him. But now, hearing those words from his daughter, the weight of the situation became clearer. Jackson wasn't just a man dealing with the pressure of his business. He was a father, a man who had been left in a delicate balance between his responsibilities, his past, and whatever future he thought he could build. And here she was, an unwilling participant in his story, drawn in not by choice, but by circumstance, and by something deeper, something almost magnetic. The waiter returns with a dessert menu, and Jackson's demeanor shifts again. The momentary vulnerability vanishes, replaced by the polished businessman everyone expects to see. "Shall we take a look at the dessert menu? I promise it's much better than the appetizer." Olivia hesitates. The abrupt change in Jackson's behavior doesn't go unnoticed. It's almost as if he's trying to push the conversation aside, to reassert control. But it only deepens her curiosity. There's something more here, something he's not telling her, and Olivia finds herself both reluctant and eager to uncover it. Jackson's attempt at normalcy was jarring, but in a way, it felt like a shield. He wasn't just trying to keep her from prying into his life. He was trying to keep himself from falling apart. He had his walls, and he wasn't ready to let anyone in. Not even her. Not yet. Olivia looks at the menu, but she's not really reading it. Her mind is elsewhere, trying to make sense of this strange, unplanned evening. She's not sure what she's supposed to do. She doesn't know if she's meant to ask him more questions, push for answers, or let him lead the conversation. "I think I'll pass on dessert. It's been a long night." She speaks the words quietly, but they feel like a small declaration. She's been waiting for someone who never showed, and now she's faced with a man who's clearly dealing with a complicated life. And she doesn't know how much more of it she can handle tonight. Olivia wasn't sure what she was expecting out of this evening. Romance, maybe, an escape from the monotony. But what she had found instead was something far messier. And, despite all her instincts to walk away, she felt herself being pulled deeper into Jackson's world. A world of unspoken tensions, broken relationships, and a daughter who seemed to see through it all. Jackson watches Olivia for a moment, his expression unreadable. He seems to understand, though, as he doesn't push her to stay longer. "I get it. I think we've both had enough for tonight." He stands, and Olivia follows his lead, though she can't shake the feeling that this night, this strange, unexpected meeting, has only just begun. The evening continues to drag on, but it feels different now. Olivia walks alongside Jackson and Lily, exiting the restaurant into the cool night air. The buzz of conversation and clinking glasses fades behind them as they move toward the parking lot. Jackson's step is quick, but it's not just the brisk walk that makes him seem distant. There's something else, something Olivia can't put her finger on. They stood together in the dim light of the parking lot, the distance between them feeling more like a chasm. Olivia had come here with the hope of a simple, if unremarkable, evening. But now, standing next to Jackson, she felt like an intruder in his life. A life she didn't fully understand, but which was beginning to pull her in. Jackson opens the door to his car, glancing at Olivia as she hesitates. "I can drop you off somewhere if you'd like." His words are polite, almost detached, but there's an undertone of something else. Olivia catches it, a hesitation, a flicker of uncertainty. Was he trying to be courteous, or was he eager to escape the emotional weight of the evening? Olivia had been waiting for him to say something, anything, that might clear the confusion she felt. But as he stood there, looking at her with a kind of polite disinterest, the questions just piled up. She could feel the pressure of the night pressing down on her chest. Was this really a date, or had she been caught in something far more complicated? She looks at the car, the familiar sleekness of the luxury vehicle standing in stark contrast to the empty promises of the evening. "I think I'll just take a cab. I need some space to think." Her voice falters at the end, the weight of everything sinking in. Jackson nods, though his eyes reveal something else, something he's not saying. He opens the door to the car and lets Olivia walk away before he speaks. "You sure? You can come with us. It's not too far to my place." The invitation is subtle, but Olivia can't help but feel a surge of hesitation. She had been unsure from the start, and now her instincts told her this wasn't the time to press further. Maybe it was the unpredictability of the night, or maybe it was the undeniable pull she felt toward him, but something told her to walk away, at least for now. She could have taken him up on the offer, allowed herself to be swept up in whatever it was that Jackson Montgomery was offering. But Olivia was no stranger to uncertainty. She'd been here before, caught between the decision to follow her heart or protect it, and tonight she chose the latter. Olivia waves goodbye, stepping back from Jackson's open car door. He watches her, his face unreadable. And as she hails a cab to take her home, the weight of the evening presses harder than ever. She feels the unanswered questions sitting heavily in her chest, unresolved and lingering like an open wound. As the cab pulls away from the restaurant, Olivia watches Jackson and Lily disappear into the distance, the glow of the parking lot lights fading behind them. She's not sure what she expected from the night, but it wasn't this. It wasn't the pull toward a man who was clearly hiding something bigger than just the business deals and family drama he'd hinted at. It wasn't the realization that she had become entangled in a story that was not her own. The next morning, Olivia wakes up with the same questions swirling in her mind. Her phone pings with an unexpected message, and her heart skips a beat when she sees it's from Jackson. She had left the evening unsure of what to think of him, unsure of what her role was in his life. And yet, here was his message, coming just hours after their brief goodbye. "I'm sorry for the abrupt end last night. I wasn't trying to push you away, but things are complicated right now. If you're up for it, I'd like to talk more. Maybe over coffee?" His message caught her off guard. What did he really want? Did he just need someone to talk to, or was there more to this than he was letting on? Olivia hesitated, her finger hovering over the reply button. She had walked away from him last night, but now a small part of her wondered if that was the right decision. Maybe they could start over. Maybe she could help him. Or maybe, just maybe, she needed to know more before deciding whether to walk away completely. Olivia takes a deep breath, fingers tapping the screen as she drafts a response. Her hesitation is clear, but something inside her pushes her to take the chance. "Coffee sounds good. Let me know when you're free." And just like that, Olivia had opened the door again, not to a date, not to a romantic evening, but to something much more complex. A chance to understand the man behind the mystery, to untangle the web he had woven, and to see if there was something real buried beneath it all. The next few days pass in a blur for Olivia. She continues her routine, but her mind constantly drifts back to Jackson. Every time her phone buzzes, her heart skips a beat, only to fall when it's not a message from him. She finds herself glancing at the clock more often than usual, waiting for that next moment when he might reach out. It's strange. She barely knows him, yet she can't shake the feeling that something bigger than either of them is unfolding. Olivia had expected the message to be a passing thought, a fleeting moment in time. But here she was, sitting at her desk, with the glow of her phone screen lighting up the darkened room in front of her. He hadn't responded yet, and the waiting felt like a test. Her heart longed for an answer, but her head told her to resist. After all, why would she let a man, especially a stranger, have such power over her thoughts? But as the days drag on, Olivia can't stop thinking about him. Her thoughts become a jumble, about Jackson, his daughter, the cryptic conversations they shared, and the way his eyes flickered with an unreadable expression every time he spoke about his personal life. Then, on a particularly quiet afternoon, Olivia finally receives the message she's been waiting for. It's not much, just a simple invitation to meet for coffee. "You free this afternoon? I know a quiet place. We could talk." Her finger hovers over the screen, contemplating the choice. Part of her wants to walk away. She tells herself it's too soon, too complicated. But the other part, the part that's been drawn to him since that first moment in the restaurant, urges her to say yes. The message was simple, but it carried the weight of everything that had happened between them. Olivia had no idea what she would find when she saw Jackson again. She had so many questions about him, about his family, about the life he was living that she didn't yet understand. But more than that, she wanted to know if she could still walk away, or if she was already too deep into this tangled web She taps a quick response, her thumb shaking slightly as she presses send. Sure, I'll meet you at 3? Her answer was quick, but her mind was already racing. What would this conversation bring? Would she finally get answers, or would it leave her with more questions than before? Either way, she had to know. She had to meet him. It felt inevitable. Later that afternoon, Olivia arrives at the cafe, a small, cozy spot tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. She walks in, scanning the room for Jackson. He's sitting in a corner, his back straight, his usual composed demeanor still in place. But today, something's different. There's an air of tension surrounding him, one that wasn't there before. The moment she steps through the door, his eyes find hers, and she feels it, the weight of everything hanging in the air between them. Jackson's presence was no longer just the business mogul she had first encountered. He wasn't the man in the suit with a controlled smile anymore. This was the real Jackson, the man behind the polished mask, and Olivia could see it now, clearer than ever before. He was unraveling. The cracks in his armor were starting to show. She walks toward the table, and as she sits down, there's an almost imperceptible shift in the room. The air seems heavier now, like a storm about to break. Thanks for meeting me. I know this isn't exactly how we planned it, but I needed to explain a few things. Olivia watches him closely, noting the way his hands fidget with the coffee cup. It's a small sign of his nervousness, a contrast to the confident businessman she's seen before. He's more vulnerable now, and it draws her in. For a moment, Jackson's words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of something unspoken. Olivia waited for him to continue, unsure of what he was going to say. What was he about to reveal? Was this the moment she would finally understand what had been bothering him? Jackson looks at her, his eyes dark with a mixture of determination and guilt. There's a lot you don't know about me, about my life, about what I've been dealing with, but I need you to understand something. When I brought you into my world that night, it wasn't just because you were there. It wasn't a coincidence. Olivia's heart skips. She hadn't expected this. She leans forward slightly, her curiosity piqued, as she waits for him to continue. Jackson's words were slow, deliberate, as though each one carried the weight of years of decisions, mistakes, and consequences. Olivia's breath caught in her chest, the tension between them building with each passing second. She wasn't sure if she wanted to know the truth, but she knew, deep down, that she had to hear it. The truth is, I didn't just bring you here because I was interested in you. I brought you here because I needed someone to listen, someone who doesn't already have their own agenda, someone who doesn't want something from me. His admission stunned her. Was this the confession she had been waiting for? Or was it just another part of his carefully constructed world, another lie wrapped in a promise of honesty? The room feels colder now, the silence between them growing as thick as the tension in the air. Olivia feels a chill run through her, but she doesn't back down. She meets his gaze, determined to hear what he has to say. What is it, Jackson? What's going on? You said things were complicated, but that doesn't explain why you brought me into this. Jackson runs a hand through his hair, a gesture that speaks volumes about his inner turmoil. He exhales sharply, leaning back in his chair as if preparing for something big. His voice drops to a near whisper. I'm not just dealing with my ex. I'm not just dealing with business. There's something else. Someone else. Olivia's heart skipped again, but this time it wasn't excitement. It was dread. She could feel it. The secrets that had been hiding beneath the surface were now on the verge of being exposed, and she wasn't sure she was ready for what came next. Jackson leans forward, his eyes intense, but there's something more, something familiar, something that makes Olivia's blood run cold. I have a daughter, but she's not Lily. The words hang between them like a thunderstorm waiting to burst. Olivia's mind races as she tries to process what Jackson just said. His admission has rocked her to her core, the weight of it pressing down on her chest. His daughter isn't Lily? Who then? And why is this only coming out now? Olivia's pulse quickened as the pieces of the puzzle began to shift. The innocent facade of a man simply navigating life as a businessman and father was starting to crack. The cracks were wide now, and Olivia found herself peering into a world much darker than she'd anticipated. Jackson wasn't just the polished, enigmatic millionaire she had met that night. No, he was someone entirely different. Someone whose life had been filled with secrets he hadn't shared. Jackson shifts uncomfortably in his chair, his gaze dropping to the coffee cup in front of him. For a moment he seems lost in thought, trying to find the words that will explain everything. Olivia watches him, her emotions a tangled mess of confusion and suspicion. "I've never told anyone about this. Not like this. But you deserve to know. You've already stepped into this world, and I can't pretend anymore." His voice falters slightly, and Olivia's heart softens, though her mind is still clouded with questions. Who is the daughter he's referring to? What does this mean for the life she thought she was glimpsing with him? There was a vulnerability in his eyes now, a stark contrast to the confident businessman she had seen before. Olivia had seen people hide behind their masks. She had done it herself. But Jackson's mask was slowly slipping, revealing a man burdened by more than just business deals or family pressure. He was hiding something much deeper, and that something was slowly starting to consume him. Jackson leans forward, his eyes meeting hers, filled with both pain and something that looked like regret. "Her name is Mia. She's my daughter too, but I can't be a father to her, not the way I want to be. Not yet, not while everything is falling apart." Olivia freezes. Mia. The name reverberates in her mind, and she can feel a knot tighten in her stomach. She'd sensed there was more to Jackson's life than he let on, but this was something she didn't expect. Another child, a daughter he couldn't even be with. And why? The revelation felt like a punch to the gut. Olivia's breath caught in her throat. She had imagined so many things about Jackson, but a hidden daughter, one kept in the shadows, was beyond what she had considered. The pieces of the story were still scattered, but she could feel the pieces beginning to fit together. The cracks in Jackson's perfect life weren't just because of his business. They were personal, deeply personal. Olivia looks at him, her mind swirling with questions, but the main one rises above all others. Why had he kept this secret from her? From everyone? What happened? Why can't you be with her? Jackson runs his hand through his hair, his face a mixture of frustration and sorrow. The tension between them is thick, and for a moment, Olivia wonders if he'll even answer her question. But then he speaks, his voice steady, though filled with a quiet, raw emotion. "Mia's mother and we had a falling out. It was my fault. I made choices that destroyed everything, her trust, my role as a father. I don't deserve to be in her life. I tried for a while. I really did. But things got too complicated, too messy." Olivia's heart aches as she listens to him. There's a deep sadness in his voice, a kind of defeat that makes her question everything she thought she knew about him. Jackson's words hit Olivia harder than she expected. She had always prided herself on seeing through people, on understanding their motives. But Jackson was different. He wasn't the villain in his own story. He was a man who had made mistakes, who had tried to fix them, but had failed in ways that had cost him more than he was willing to admit. And as Olivia sat across from him, she realized she had just stepped into a story where the stakes were higher than anything she had imagined. She watches him closely, unsure of what to say. Her mind races, trying to piece together what he's told her, but the words feel jumbled, like pieces of a broken puzzle. She's still processing the fact that Jackson had kept this from her. And yet, a small part of her understands why. He had been protecting himself from further pain. "So, Mia's mother, is that why you're so guarded? Why you've been avoiding any kind of personal connection?" Jackson's eyes flicker with recognition, as if Olivia has just unlocked something deep inside him. His gaze shifts to the floor, and for the first time in the conversation, he seems vulnerable, like a man who has been carrying the weight of the world alone. Yeah, that's why. I've spent so long trying to rebuild my life after everything with Mia's mother. And then you came along, and it felt like a chance to start fresh. But I couldn't let myself, not while I'm still broken. Olivia could see it now. Jackson wasn't just trying to protect his daughter, he was trying to protect himself. He had built walls so high that no one could get through, but somehow she had, and the realization made her heart ache. It wasn't just about love, not really. It was about pain, about the fear of opening up to someone else and letting them see the broken parts. And as much as Olivia wanted to push him away, she couldn't. Not yet. Not with everything she was starting to understand about him. Jackson looks up at her, his eyes searching hers for something, some kind of validation or understanding. For a moment they sit in silence, the weight of their conversation hanging heavy in the air. I don't expect you to understand, but I need you to know, Olivia, this, whatever this is between us, it's not just about a date gone wrong. It's about everything I've been trying to fix in my life. And maybe, just maybe, you're the one who can help me make things right. Olivia's heart races. The words hit harder than she expected, and as she stares at him, she realizes the truth. She can't walk away. Not yet. Not when the story feels like it's only just beginning. The silence between them feels heavy, like the calm before a storm. Olivia's mind races with everything Jackson just revealed. His daughter, his failed relationship with her mother, and the pain he's carrying with him. The pieces of the puzzle are starting to come together, but there are still so many questions left unanswered. Olivia sat there, her thoughts a whirlwind of confusion and understanding. Jackson had just shown her a side of himself he had kept hidden, and despite the chaos of it all, there was something raw and human about it. She had seen so many people wear masks to hide their true selves, but Jackson's mask had cracked, and now Olivia found herself unsure of what to do next. Jackson shifts in his seat, clearly uncomfortable with the tension in the air. He looks away for a moment, his fingers tapping lightly against the coffee cup in front of him, as if trying to regain control of the conversation. I know this isn't easy to digest, and I don't expect you to drop everything and help me fix my life, but there's something else I need to say. Something I haven't told anyone. Olivia leans in slightly, sensing that he's about to reveal something even more personal, something deeper than the confession about Mia. She braces herself, unsure of where this conversation will lead. Her heart skipped a beat. Jackson's eyes were intense now, focused on something beyond her, as if he were searching for the right words. Olivia didn't know whether to expect more of the same vulnerability or a new layer of secrets. But she couldn't look away. She was in too deep now, whether she wanted to be or not. I've been offered an opportunity, a chance to make everything right, to fix everything. My business, my relationship with Mia. But it comes with a price. If I take it, there's no turning back. It will change everything. And I'm not sure I'm ready for that kind of responsibility. I'm not sure I'm ready to risk losing what little I have left. Olivia's brow furrows as she listens. The weight of his words hangs in the air, and for the first time, she begins to understand the magnitude of what Jackson is dealing with. This isn't just about a romantic connection between them. It's about Jackson's life, his future, and the potential consequences of his choices. What do you mean, a price? What's the opportunity, and why don't you seem sure about it? Jackson's gaze flickers to the window, as though the answer is beyond his reach, outside the walls of the cafe. He runs a hand through his hair, frustration mounting in his expression. I've been offered a business deal, one that could secure my company's future, but it involves stepping into a world I've been avoiding, a world full of people who don't care about the cost. They only care about winning. And if I take it, I'll have to compromise everything I've built, my values, my integrity. I'll be playing their game, and I don't know if I can do that. The gravity of his words hit Olivia like a punch. This wasn't just a business deal, it was a moral crossroads. Jackson was standing at the edge of a precipice, unsure of which way to turn. He was a man torn between ambition and conscience, and Olivia could see the internal battle waging inside him. She wasn't just a bystander anymore. She was a part of this story, whether she liked it or not. She takes a deep breath, her mind sorting through his words. There's a part of her that understands the pressure Jackson is under, but there's also a part of her that wonders if this is the right path for him. Would taking the deal really be worth the cost? And what if you lose yourself in the process? What if the price is too high? I've seen people like you, people who think they have to sacrifice everything for success. But what happens when the price is your soul? The words leave her mouth before she can stop them, but she doesn't regret saying them. Jackson looks at her, his expression softening as if her honesty has struck a chord. I don't want to lose myself, Olivia. I don't. But I'm scared. Scared of what will happen if I walk away from this. Scared of what it will mean for Mia, for my future. There's a rawness in his voice now, a fear that cuts through the facade of the successful businessman. Olivia can see it clearly. He's not just struggling with his choices, he's struggling with himself. Olivia had never seen him like this, so vulnerable, so human. It was as if everything he had built, everything he had fought for, was crumbling before his eyes. And yet, in this moment, Olivia realized something. Jackson wasn't asking her to fix his life. He was asking her to be a part of it. He was letting her in. The silence between them is heavy now, filled with unspoken emotions and unasked questions. Olivia can feel the weight of his gaze, the intensity of his internal conflict, and for the first time since they met, she truly understands the depth of the storm he's facing. And somewhere deep inside her she knows she's not just a bystander in his life anymore. Whatever you choose, Jackson, just make sure it's what you want, not what anyone else wants, not what they think you should do. You have to live with your decisions, and no one else can do that for you. Jackson nods slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. There's a moment of understanding between them, a quiet connection that speaks louder than words ever could. In that moment, Olivia realized something she hadn't before. This wasn't just about business deals or moral dilemmas. It was about trust. Jackson had trusted her with his secrets, with his fears, and now it was her turn to trust him, to trust that whatever choices he made, he would make them for the right reasons. And maybe, just maybe, they could figure out how to navigate this storm together. The coffee in front of them grows cold as they sit in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. But the connection between them is undeniable now, stronger than it was before. And though the future remains uncertain, one thing is clear. They are no longer just two strangers sitting across from each other in a cafe. They are two people bound together by something deeper, something real. The tension that had built between them in the last few moments doesn't dissipate when Jackson finally breaks the silence. Instead, it lingers, hanging heavy in the air. Olivia sits across from him, her mind still racing with the weight of what he had just shared, his fear, his vulnerabilities, and the incredible pressure he was under. But something in her heart tells her that there's still more to his story. The layers of his life are still hidden, and Olivia isn't sure whether she's ready to peel back any more of them. She had known from the moment they met that there was something off about Jackson, something that didn't add up, but now, with every word he spoke, the pieces were beginning to fall into place, like a complicated puzzle she couldn't quite solve. She had asked for honesty, and now, here it was. But was this the truth? Or was there still something more, something darker he hadn't yet revealed? Jackson stares at his coffee, the steam rising in delicate tendrils, his face marked by a quiet exhaustion. His fingers trace the rim of his cup, and for a moment, Olivia wonders if he's gathering the strength to say something he's been holding back for far too long. I haven't been completely honest with you, Olivia. Her stomach drops. She's not sure what he's about to say, but the sudden shift in his tone makes her realize she wasn't prepared for this conversation to turn darker, deeper. She leans in slightly, her eyes locking on his. What do you mean? Jackson looks at her, his gaze almost apologetic, but there's something else in his eyes. A flicker of regret. of shame. He's trying to keep himself composed, but Olivia can tell it's difficult for him to keep it all together. It's not just my business. It's not just Mia or my ex-wife. There's someone else involved, someone I didn't want to bring into this, but I think you deserve to know. The words are slow, measured, like he's carefully weighing the consequences of each one. Olivia feels her heart race as she waits for him to continue. Who else is there? And how does this tie into everything he's already told her? Olivia could feel it now, the shift in the air, the secret he was keeping, the one he wasn't ready to share. It was something bigger, something more personal than she could have ever anticipated. Her instinct told her this was the moment when everything changed, the moment she would find out just how deeply she was involved in Jackson's complicated life. Jackson leans back in his chair, his face hardening as he exhales sharply, clearly wrestling with the decision to tell her more. I've been involved with someone, a woman, someone from my past. We've been trying to figure things out, but it's complicated. She's part of the reason I've been so distant. I didn't want to involve you in this, but the truth is, I can't pretend I don't care about you. I don't know where this is going, but I needed you to know. This isn't just about my daughter or my business. It's about everything I've been hiding. Olivia sits back, stunned by the revelation. Another woman? Another part of Jackson's tangled life? The shock of it is like a cold wave washing over her, and she can't seem to find her footing. Why hadn't he told her sooner? Was this another layer of deception she had been blind to, or was this the truth he had been afraid to admit? Olivia's mind raced, but her heart was quiet. She wasn't sure how to feel. Disappointed, angry, hurt, maybe all of it. She had known Jackson had been hiding things, but this felt like a betrayal. He wasn't just carrying the weight of his family or his business. He was carrying a secret relationship that, until now, had been kept hidden, and she had been standing on the edge, unaware of how deep the waters were. She opens her mouth to speak, but the words don't come. Instead, she simply stares at him, trying to process the raw honesty in his voice. He's not just a man with business troubles. He's someone caught between past mistakes and present desires, struggling to find balance in a life that is slipping through his fingers. You've been seeing someone else, and you didn't think I had a right to know? Her voice is sharp, the hurt in her words impossible to hide. The vulnerability she felt for him just moments ago begins to fade, replaced by a quiet frustration. He had asked her to trust him, to open up to him, and now, here he was, hiding yet another part of himself. The words were out, and the damage had been done. Olivia's frustration wasn't just about Jackson's secret. It was about feeling like a fool. She had trusted him, opened herself up to a connection she hadn't felt in years, and now she wasn't sure if that trust had been misplaced. Jackson looks down at the table, his hands gripping the edges of his cup. There's a long silence between them as he gathers his thoughts. When he finally looks up, his face is filled with a quiet resignation. I didn't want you to think I was using you, Olivia. I didn't want you to think I was only interested in you because of her, because of all the mess I'm carrying. But the truth is, I can't keep pretending I have everything under control. I don't, and I don't expect you to understand. Olivia sits back, her arms folded across her chest, her eyes not leaving his face. His words are raw, and yet there's still something in his eyes, something that makes her hesitate before she speaks again. I don't know if I can understand, Jackson. I really don't. But you've made this more complicated than it needed to be. You've kept too many secrets from me, and now I don't know where I fit into this mess you've created. Olivia's words cut deep, but they were the truth. Jackson had built a life of secrets and half-truths, and now he was asking her to be a part of it. But how could she, when everything about this felt like a maze of contradictions? She wasn't sure if she could walk this path with him anymore. She wasn't sure if she even wanted to. The air between them thickens with tension, and Olivia feels the weight of everything Jackson has just shared settle on her shoulders. She's not sure what she expected from this meeting, but it certainly wasn't this. The future, whatever it may hold, feels more uncertain than ever. The weeks following their conversation are filled with tension. Olivia has tried to focus on her work, but her mind keeps drifting back to Jackson, his confessions, his hesitations, the secret life he'd kept hidden. She can't help but replay his words over and over in her head, trying to understand why he hadn't been upfront with her. And yet, despite everything, there's a part of her that wants to know more, wants to understand why he's in so deep, and if there's any way she can help him navigate the chaos. But Olivia is tired of waiting for answers. She's tired of being kept at arm's length. And yet, when Jackson texts her, the invitation comes almost out of nowhere. "I have a family event this weekend. It's important to me, and I'd like you to be there, if you're ready to meet more of my world." Olivia stares at the message for a long time. The thought of stepping into the heart of Jackson's complex life, meeting his family, facing whatever lies ahead, fills her with a mixture of excitement and dread. She knows she can't stay on the sidelines any longer. She's in too deep, whether she wants to be or not. The choice was simple. She could walk away, let this whole thing go, and return to the life she knew. Or she could take a step into the unknown, into Jackson's world, and see what lay on the other side. But something inside her stirred, urging her to move forward. There were answers she still needed, and there was a connection she couldn't deny, no matter how complicated it had become. She takes a deep breath and replies, "Okay, I'll be there." The text is short, but it feels like a turning point. She doesn't know what she's stepping into, but she knows she can't turn back now. And when the day of the event arrives, Olivia finds herself preparing for something far bigger than she expected. The event is held at an extravagant venue, an upscale hotel with sprawling gardens and towering glass windows. Olivia has never been to anything like it. The lavish decorations, the impeccably dressed guests, the sounds of laughter and conversation, it all feels like something out of a fairy tale. But beneath the surface, Olivia feels the weight of Jackson's world closing in on her. This wasn't just a casual gathering. This was a glimpse into Jackson's life, the life of wealth, influence, and a family that carried its own set of rules and expectations. Olivia could feel the walls closing in on her, the world she knew becoming distant and foreign in comparison to the high society event she had just stepped into, but there was no turning back now. She had already made her choice, and now she had to face the consequences of that choice. As Olivia enters the ballroom, she sees Jackson across the room. He's dressed in a tailored suit, standing with a group of people, including a man who seems to be older and distinguished. Jackson's demeanor is the same, confident, composed, but there's an air of tension around him, as if he's trying to maintain control over something just out of reach. Olivia takes a deep breath, walking toward him. When Jackson sees her, his eyes immediately soften, and he excuses himself from the conversation to greet her. His smile is genuine, though his eyes are filled with something else, something she can't quite place. "I'm glad you came. You look amazing." His compliment catches her off guard, and for a moment, she forgets the weight of the evening. She smiles, though the smile feels more forced than usual. "Thanks. This place, it's something else." Jackson laughs softly, but there's a nervous edge to his voice. "Yeah, it's a little much, I know, but you'll get used to it. Just try not to judge too harshly. My family has a way of making things complicated." Olivia wasn't sure what to expect from this evening, but she could already feel the weight of it. This wasn't just an event, it was a test of her place in Jackson's life, and a test of how far she was willing to go to be a part of it. The stakes were higher than she had anticipated, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to face them. As they walk into the main ballroom, Olivia is introduced to several of Jackson's family members. They are all impeccably dressed, their conversations smooth and practiced. The women exchange polite smiles, while the men discuss business in hushed tones. Everyone here knows their role, plays their part in the polished world of wealth and influence. Then Jackson's father, Edward Montgomery, steps forward. He's an imposing figure, tall, with silver hair and sharp features. His handshake is firm, his gaze piercing, and there's a coldness to him that immediately makes Olivia feel small in comparison. "Olivia, it's a pleasure to meet you. Jackson has told us quite a bit about you." Olivia's stomach tightens at the mention of Jackson. She hadn't realized how much his family knew about her. It's clear they've been watching, evaluating, and her heart begins to race. Edward Montgomery's presence was commanding, and Olivia could feel the pressure building. This wasn't just a family gathering, it was an interrogation. She was the outsider, the unknown element in a family that had everything figured out. Jackson's father didn't hide his skepticism, and Olivia could sense it. It wasn't just about impressing him. It was about surviving this night, about showing that she belonged in Jackson's world. Jackson steps in, sensing the tension. He puts a reassuring hand on Olivia's back and guides her toward the table, but Edward's gaze lingers on them, unreadable. "Let's sit down. We'll be fine. You don't need to worry about them." But Olivia wasn't sure if she could stop worrying. The weight of this world, Jackson's world, was heavy, and it felt like it was suffocating her. She had been pulled into something bigger than she could have imagined, and as much as she wanted to step away, a part of her was already too far in. The evening progresses with Olivia feeling increasingly out of place. The conversations around her shift from polite to transactional, each person maneuvering for position in the unspoken hierarchy. Olivia tries to keep up, smiling and nodding at the right moments, but she's starting to feel the strain of being the outsider in a world where appearances matter more than anything else. The night drags on, the grand ballroom humming with laughter and clinking glasses. Olivia finds herself at the center of a whirlwind, her polite smiles and small talk a thin veil over the growing unease in her chest. Every glance from Jackson's family feels like an unspoken judgment, a silent assessment of whether she belongs here. She feels like an outsider in a world she doesn't understand. Olivia had always been able to navigate social situations, always able to put on a mask of confidence when she needed to, but tonight she felt exposed. Each conversation felt like an audition, each look from Jackson's family a silent test. They weren't just interested in who she was, they were evaluating her, deciding whether she was worthy of their world. Jackson, sensing her discomfort, gently places his hand on her lower back, guiding her through the crowd. But even his touch, warm and reassuring, can't calm the storm swirling inside her. She had thought this evening would help her understand Jackson better, but now it only seems to highlight how different their worlds really are. As they move toward a quieter corner of the ballroom, Olivia notices a familiar face, a woman in her early 30s with sleek dark hair and an air of quiet authority. She's standing near the bar, her eyes scanning the room with a sharpness that suggests she's used to commanding attention. Olivia doesn't need to be told who she is. It's clear from Jackson's stiff posture that this is Carla, his ex-wife. There she was, the woman whose name had been hanging over their conversation like a shadow. Carla, the mother of Mia, the ex-wife who still seemed to occupy a space in Jackson's life that no one else could fill. Olivia had known about Carla, of course, but seeing her in person, standing there with the quiet elegance of a woman who had been part of Jackson's world for years, made her feel even more like an outsider. Carla's gaze flickers toward them, and for a brief moment, Olivia feels her stomach tighten. There's no warmth in the look, only a sharpness, an edge of something unspoken. Jackson freezes for a second, his hand on Olivia's back tightening. He straightens, as if preparing for the inevitable. The word is cool, detached, but not without a certain familiarity. She doesn't greet Olivia right away, instead focusing on Jackson, as if Olivia doesn't exist for a moment. The tension between them is palpable. The conversation between them is polite but strained, their words clipped and calculated. Olivia watches, feeling like an invisible observer in a conversation that's been rehearsed 1,000 times. There's a history here, a shared past that Olivia can't even begin to understand. It was clear. The unresolved tension between Jackson and Carla was more than just the end of a marriage. It was the remnants of a life still intertwined, the ghosts of what had been and what could never be again. And Olivia was caught in the middle of it, her presence a stark reminder of everything Jackson had tried to move on from. Olivia tries to smile, but it feels empty. She's caught between two worlds, one where Jackson is trying to break free from his past, and the other where his past is still very much alive, hovering over every interaction. She can feel the weight of Carla's gaze, and despite herself, Olivia can't help but wonder if she will ever truly fit into Jackson's world, if she'll ever be more than a fleeting distraction to him. Carla's eyes finally shift to Olivia, the moment heavy with unspoken words. "I didn't realize you were here. I'm sure Jackson's told you a lot about me." There's a bitterness in her tone, something Olivia can't quite place. It's not jealousy, but something colder, more calculated. "Not much, just that you and Jackson are trying to work things out for Mia." Carla's smile doesn't reach her eyes, and the air between them thickens. Olivia feels the weight of the moment, unsure of how to navigate the conversation. Carla is a force, one that Olivia isn't sure she's ready to face, but she's also not the kind of woman to back down. Mia is everything to Jackson. You'll see that soon enough. We both know that. The words hang in the air, and Olivia can't ignore the underlying message. Carla is reminding her of her place, making it clear that she has a role in Jackson's life that Olivia might never understand. The realization stings, but Olivia keeps her composure. She's not going to let Carla, or anyone, define her place in this world. The words were a reminder, one that Olivia didn't need. Carla wasn't just a part of Jackson's past, she was a part of his present, a shadow that would always loom over any relationship Jackson tried to build. And for the first time, Olivia realized just how complicated this was going to be. This wasn't just about her and Jackson. It was about the space that Carla still occupied in his life, in his heart, a space Olivia wasn't sure she could fill. Jackson watches the exchange, his jaw clenched. He doesn't intervene, doesn't try to stop Carla. Olivia wonders if this is another moment where he's trying to avoid conflict, where he's trying to appease everyone except himself. Carla turns to leave, her eyes briefly flicking to Jackson before she walks away, leaving the tension between them to settle in the air like smoke. Jackson looks at Olivia, his face a mask of frustration and guilt. "I'm sorry about that. She's complicated. It's not easy, dealing with her." Olivia nods, her emotions a whirlpool inside her. She's not sure if she's angry at Jackson, at Carla, or at herself for walking into this world without fully understanding the stakes. "I don't know if I can keep doing this, Jackson. Every time I think I'm getting closer to understanding you, there's something else, someone else. I don't want to feel like an outsider in your life. I don't want to keep walking in and out of this world on your terms." Her words were a plea, a cry for answers that had been unanswered for too long. Olivia wasn't just confused, she was tired. Tired of feeling like she was on the outside looking in, tired of trying to make sense of a world that didn't want to make room for her. Jackson looks at her, his face conflicted, but this time he doesn't hide behind his usual walls. He's raw, vulnerable, and for the first time, Olivia can see that he's just as lost as she feels. "I don't want you to feel like that. I don't want you to feel like an outsider, but I can't promise it will be easy. You're right, this is complicated, but I care about you, Olivia, and I'm not going to give up on us, not without a fight." The words hang in the air between them, a promise wrapped in uncertainty. Olivia's heart wants to believe him, but there's a part of her that knows the road ahead won't be smooth. She's not just battling her own feelings for Jackson, she's battling the ghosts of his past, a family that still holds sway over his every move. The days following the family event are filled with unease. Olivia can't shake the feeling of being trapped between two worlds, Jackson's complicated past and her own uncertain future. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees the image of Jackson's family, their icy politeness, and Carla's pointed remarks. The weight of it all presses down on her, and no matter how much she tries to focus on her work or distract herself, she can't escape the questions lingering in her mind. Olivia had stepped into Jackson's world, thinking it was just a simple connection between two people who had been hurt by love. But now it was clear. It wasn't that simple. Jackson's world was filled with obstacles, with history that had yet to be resolved, and Olivia was now caught in the middle of it all, wondering whether she was strong enough to handle it. Jackson had been distant the past few days, not out of malice, but because of the pressure building up around him. His business, his family, his past with Carla, it was all weighing on him. And Olivia, despite the promise he had made, found herself wondering if she was really a part of his world, or just a temporary escape from it. She hadn't heard from him in 2 days, no texts, no calls. The silence was deafening. She had told herself that she wouldn't be the one to reach out, that she wouldn't be the one to chase him. But the longer the silence stretched, the more uncertainty crept in. Maybe, just maybe, he was already pulling away, and she was too late to stop it. The silence was a test, and Olivia knew it. It was Jackson's way of pulling back, of seeing how far she was willing to go. It was a test of trust, a test of whether or not Olivia could accept the chaos of his life, the unpredictability that came with it. She had to decide. Could she stay, or would she walk away? Was she strong enough to face what was coming? Just when Olivia begins to convince herself that it's better to let go, her phone buzzes. Her heart skips a beat as she picks it up. "I need to talk. Can we meet?" It's a simple message, but to Olivia, it feels like a lifeline, a chance to understand what's been happening with Jackson, a chance to finally get the answers she's been waiting for. Her thumb hovers over the screen for a moment. This is it, the moment of truth. She knows what she wants. She knows what she feels. But this is bigger than her. It's about Jackson, about the man he is and the man he's trying to become. It's about whether she can live in a world that doesn't make sense, doesn't promise anything but uncertainty, and the question hangs there. Will she say yes, or will she finally walk away? Olivia doesn't hesitate. She types back a quick response. Yes. Where and when? Later that evening, Olivia arrives at a quiet cafe on the outskirts of the city. It's far from the grand venues she's become used to in Jackson's world, small, intimate, and almost comforting in its simplicity. Jackson is already there, sitting at a corner table, his back to the door. The weight of everything, the business deals, the family, the secrets, seems to hang around him, and Olivia can see the toll it's taking. He looks up when she enters, his expression softening as he sees her. He stands, motioning for her to sit down, but Olivia hesitates, taking in the quiet atmosphere. There's something different about tonight, a quiet intensity that makes the air feel thick with unspoken words. "Thank you for coming. I know things haven't been easy between us lately, but I need to explain everything, to make it right, if I can." The words hang between them, heavy with the weight of everything that has been left unsaid. Olivia can feel the tension in the air, thick with all the questions she's been carrying, questions that have no easy answers. She's been waiting for this moment, for the truth, for clarity. But now, as she looks at Jackson, she's not sure if she's ready to hear what he has to say. She's not sure if she can handle the final piece of the puzzle. "I don't know if I can do this, Jackson. I don't know if I can keep waiting for answers that might never come. Every time I think I'm getting closer to understanding you, you pull away, and I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this." Jackson's expression hardens, but there's no anger in it, only frustration, regret, and something that looks a lot like fear. He leans forward, his voice low but firm. One evening, after a long day of work, Jackson invites Olivia to meet him for dinner. It's casual, a quiet restaurant where they can talk without the distractions of his family or business. It's the first time they've had a moment just for themselves in what feels like weeks. As they sit across from each other, enjoying their meal, there's a sense of calm between them. The tension that once existed has faded, replaced by something softer, more comfortable. "You know, I never thought I'd find myself here, in this place with you. I didn't expect this to be easy, but I think I'm finally starting to understand that nothing worth having ever is." Jackson smiles, a genuine smile that reaches his eyes. He's no longer the guarded man he was when they first met. He's softer now, more open to the possibilities that lie ahead. "Yeah, me neither. But I'm glad you're here. Glad you decided to stay." In that moment, Olivia realized something profound. This wasn't just about finding love. It was about choosing each other, day after day, despite the obstacles, despite the challenges. It was about the strength to face the future together, no matter what it held. Weeks pass, and with each passing day, Jackson and Olivia's bond deepens. What started as a simple connection has now become a shared journey, one filled with ups and downs, but ultimately one of growth and healing. Olivia no longer feels like an outsider in Jackson's world. Slowly but surely, she has found her place beside him, not just in his life, but in his heart. The road ahead had never been simple, but with every challenge, Jackson and Olivia found new ways to support each other, new ways to face the obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. They had learned that love wasn't about avoiding the mess. It was about accepting it and choosing to keep walking forward together. One quiet Sunday afternoon, Jackson invites Olivia to his apartment for dinner. It's a simple gathering, just the two of them, some homemade pasta and a bottle of wine. They don't need anything grand or elaborate. They just need each other. And for the first time, Olivia feels at home in this space, a space that was once just Jackson's, but now feels like theirs. As they sit at the table, laughing over something trivial, Olivia looks at Jackson. There's no tension, no doubt, just peace. She feels the weight of everything they've been through, his past, his family, the complexities of his life. But it doesn't feel heavy anymore. It feels like part of their shared story. And that's enough. "I never imagined it would be like this, that I would find myself here, with you, in your world. I used to be afraid of it, afraid of what it meant for me. But now I wouldn't change a thing." Jackson looks at her, his eyes soft, his smile genuine. He reaches across the table, taking her hand in his. The warmth of his touch sends a sense of calm through her, and she realizes just how far they've come. From that first awkward meeting at the restaurant to this moment of quiet contentment. "I never thought I'd get here either. But you've made me realize that there's more to life than business deals and family expectations. There's love, there's trust, and there's the chance to build something real. With you." Olivia feels her heart swell at his words. She knows they've both come a long way, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But for the first time, the future feels wide open. They don't know what tomorrow will bring, but they know they'll face it together. It wasn't perfect. There would be more challenges ahead, more questions, more difficult decisions. But for the first time, Jackson and Olivia were ready to face whatever came their way, together. Later that evening, as they sit on the couch, Olivia leans her head against Jackson's shoulder, the soft glow of the lamp casting a warm light over them. She feels at peace, the chaos of their pasts now a distant memory. What they've built together is real, and it's enough for now. And maybe, just maybe, it'll be enough for the future too. Jackson shifts slightly, reaching for the remote to turn off the TV. As he does, he glances at Olivia, his voice low but filled with certainty. "We've been through a lot, Olivia, but I don't want to waste any more time being afraid. I want to build something with you, something lasting. something that's ours. Olivia looks up at him, her heart full, a smile curling on her lips. Me too, Jackson. Me too. And in that moment, they both knew. They knew that no matter what challenges they faced, no matter how much their worlds collided or pulled them apart, they had already chosen each other, and that was enough to build a future together.